You were never meant to heal all by yourself. But we have started calling inconvenience, toxic, and isolation boundaries. And in my books, healing that ends in isolation isn't healing. Hyperindependence isn't healing. It's capitalism's idea of self-improvement. The idea that healing is a solo journey, just you, your journal, and a playlist is everywhere online. But healing was never meant to make you more alone. It was supposed to make you more connected. And I think a lot of us have mistaken emotional detachment for emotional safety. Yes, there absolutely is a lonely part of healing, but that is when you first start to notice the patterns, when you realize that some people you love don't have the capacity to grow with you. When you stop people-pleasing, overgiving, and then suddenly silence. That loneliness is real and necessary. You're withdrawing to recalibrate, but when we begin to believe that staying alone is safer, healthier, healing becomes about control. No surprises, no mess, no misunderstandings, but also no intimacy, no feedback, no one to reflect our growth back to us. We talk a lot about finding peace, but peace without connection isn't peace, it's emotional numbness wearing a calm face. We say we want community, but what we often mean is convenience. We want friends who always text back, who never flake, who understand our trauma responses and never trigger them, who have the same politics, the same priorities, the same healing language. But real friendship is not curated. Real friendship is messy. People get overwhelmed. They forget your birthday. They don't always say the perfect thing. They show up late. They make mistakes. And still they try. We want to be seen, but only when we feel polished, not when we're messy and still figuring it out. We crave closeness, but demand it comes without the friction of effort. Being in community requires emotional tolerance and forgiveness. It's texting, thinking of you, and not getting a reply. It's holding space even when you're tired. It's showing up after a long pause without shame. It is having someone over on your couch for a week, even though you have other plans, because their needs are more important in that moment. Things like that, that's all inconvenient, but it's real. There's a reason people are romanticizing communes, polycules, and co-living setups. Because deep down we're exhausted from doing everything alone. But the discomfort of community is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is real. The more we expect our connections to be frictionless, the more we lose the opportunity to actually grow in relationships. And that brings me to boundaries, because while they're essential, they are also easily misunderstood. I love a good boundary, but also I know how easy it is to start using them as armor instead of a bridge. The idea of a boundary is I'm saying something so the other person has a chance to adjust their behavior and will stay in my life, right? But sometimes we use those boundaries, like I said, more as an armor. We say, I don't have the capacity for this connection right now, when what we actually mean down to the core in ourselves, I'm afraid to be vulnerable again. We say protecting my peace when we mean I don't trust myself to not lose myself in this relationship. If your boundaries leave you completely untouched, unbothered, and unrelational, you might not be building a sanctuary. you might be building a fortress. I ask myself, do my boundaries let love in or just keep hurt out? A healthy boundary makes space. It doesn't just make distance. And once again, this isn't just a personal issue, it's a cultural one. Hyperindependence is the trauma response, but it's also capitalism's favorite coping mechanism. The less we rely on each other, the more we rely on products, subscriptions, self-help content to meet our emotional needs. Yeah, I put a pause in here for the irony to sit through. Capitalism thrives when we think healing is something we buy, measure, and manage alone. It thrives when we confuse boundaries with branding and community with codependency. But guess what? Healing is relational. You cannot regulate your nervous system in a vacuum. You need co-regulation, witnessing, support, mirroring, grace. Not every need is a trauma, not every relationship is a threat, not every conflict means someone is toxic. So if we're not meant to heal alone, what does community actually look like? It looks like mutual grace. It looks like I am late, but I am here. I don't have words, but I care. I haven't replied in a week, but I still love you. It's not perfect. It is not always equal. Adult friendships aren't about constant presence. They can't be. But they are about enduring presence. Sticking around through changes, through silence, through growth. Healing in community means you will get hurt at one point. But it also means you will be held, challenged, softened, and seen. And that is worth every inconvenience. So a question I want to leave you with is, who have you only quietly labeled as toxic or no longer aligned with your life that maybe was just human? What would it look like to reconnect with them in a low-pressure way? Leave a comment with one small thing you're reopening the door to connection. I would love to hear it. And if this resonated, hit subscribe. I also invite you to my Discord. It's a small, cozy, weird place full of love and connection. You don't have to do it all alone. You never did. Healing isn't about becoming so self-sufficient that you stop needing people. It's about becoming so whole that you can love and be loved even when it's inconvenient. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.